Awesome. So, we are live. We are live, live, live. I'm CosmykTheDolfyn. This is Hinedere Beat. It is a very bizarre 2D platformer, and I think we'll just get right into this, and we'll try to explain as we go along. So, are we good to start counting down on my timer? I'll give you a...
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Alright, so 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so this is Hinedere Beat. It is a 2D platformer, pretty much unlike everything else you've probably ever seen. It is a retro-styled 2D platformer with quite a bit of flair with how screen transitions work and everything. And control-wise, it's also quite interesting. It's actually based much more on parkour than it is just standard platforming, so there's quite a few different control options on how to grab onto walls, drop down from ledges, do wall runs, and things like that. So most of the difficulty in this game, at least in the start, comes from actually not the difficulty from enemies, but just the difficulty of navigating the terrain. I imagine that you will see somewhere on screen that we are playing version 1.8 of this game. That is incredibly important because any newer version of this game would probably get us kicked off Twitch. So this game actually controls terribly. Like, it just straight up does. It has some very serious control issues. And by the way, yes, we are Naruto running everywhere we go. That is indeed a Naruto run. And we just picked up a key from a bathroom. That is not our own bathroom. We just broke into somebody's apartment and stole their keys out of their bathroom. But the game did not sell very well on Steam, and there was a bunch of comments of, hey, this game controls pretty terribly, there's a lot of control issues, I don't like the game, the dialogue's terrible. And that's exactly what they did, Captain Duck. The guy that owns the game, the sole designer of the game, said, I know what's making the game sell bad. It's not all of those comments about how poor the controls are or how bizarre the storyline is. It's because it doesn't have any porn. So he just added porn into the cutscenes instead and figured that will make the game sell better. Technically it did, but it's not a Japanese game. It is not a Japanese game. It is made by one American dude. Meant to appear as much as a Japanese-style game as much as possible. Okay, so all enemies in this game kill you in a single hit. And fortunately, restarting a level is super, super easy. But, no, it did make it sell better. Oh no, okay, so the way this game works, control-wise, is very difficult. You don't actually jump based on like a set distance. Yeah, he does. It really did have a ton of promise. But there are a lot of minor things that once you start playing the game, you'll notice why it is so difficult to control. So the big thing is that you don't actually jump set distances in this game. What ends up happening is that the game has specific tiles that you're supposed to land on or not supposed to land on. And so when you jump, the game automatically determines where you're supposed to land by snapping you to one of those tiles that you're supposed to land on. So that means that you can either get a jump that goes farther than you expect, or shorter than you expect, but never directly in the middle of where you should probably jump. It's just all or nothing, which makes it very difficult to control. Most of your deaths when you start playing this game, and even during the speed one, will probably be to quite a few short jumps, as I will call them, where the game just says you didn't jump as far as I thought you were going to. It's quite an issue, and it makes it very annoying to play. Once you get the hang of it, it becomes a bit more bearable, but at the start it is casually the first time you're playing it, it's something else. Yes. Believe it or not, the porn versions of this game don't say transition scene. The guy did improve that, and I actually got a good jump, thankfully. Because that skip that I went for, if I would have got short jumped, it would have just killed me. But I went ahead and went for the jump. And I actually got long jumped there when I didn't want to, so I wound up clinging to the side of the wall instead of just grabbing the edge, which made me lose a second. But yeah, the porn versions of this game actually don't say transition scene. Now, if I want to... So if I want to describe combat in this game a little bit, it is bizarre. Most enemies die whenever you jump on top of them. You have also... No, it's actually quite an extensive amount. It's not just a split second. It's a lot. They didn't skimp on that. Oh, okay. They did not skimp on that, but how combat basically works in this game is that you have a string of punches, 1, 2, 3. And whenever you do a punch, you know, it knocks an enemy back or kills them. Enemies do not have HP in this game. So what I mean by that is that instead of programming each enemy to have a certain health bar, instead what the guy did was programmed that every single enemy would have that every single enemy, certain attacks would insta-kill them, and certain attacks would just push them backwards. So that means if I, which I'm not going to show this off in the speedrun, but that means if I just time it correctly, I can infinite an enemy forever and keep them in place by just, instead of going through my string of 1, 2, 3 punch, just hitting 1, 1, 1 over and over again. It will never kill the enemy because, you know, punch number 2 or punch number 3 is what actually kills the enemy. And since they don't technically have a health bar, it just does nothing. It's a interesting way to program the game, we'll say. Fortunately, these guys, the red guys that spit fire, only have 1 HP, I guess you would say. You can also kill enemies by jumping on top of them, and those guys were a bunch of jerks. What you'll see me do a lot of times with a lot of these taller enemies is I'll jump kick them. Get up there, thank you. And the reason for that is that they are enemies that require the third string of my punch to kill. That being said, to make stuff easier for him whenever he was programming it, he just made everything in the game die to the jumping kick instead of actually having to, you know, program a health bar. I got short jumped, so I landed on spikes. And if you didn't notice, your death animation on spikes looks very similar to a dab. So I should probably dab whenever I die on spikes. So anyway, that is the oh yeah. That is the terrible part of enemies in this game. If we don't jump kick them and don't time our punches correctly, then we will just end up punching them forever. Because, you know, hey, that's the thing. Also, if you haven't noticed, every time I go across one of those platforms where I need to walk, I mean, kind of shimmy my way across, it's always faster to just jump between. So yeah, this game's very much a difficult thing to... It's a very frustrating experience the first time you play. Once you get more used to the game, and you get used to those quirks, it becomes quite fun to actually play, because I think, as somebody's already mentioned in chat, you can really see where this game had a lot of promise. But it takes a lot of time to get there. So these enemies shoot fire at you as soon as they see you, so I need to punch them from behind and then jump over them. You're technically supposed to punch them, run away, and wait, but you got just enough time to punch them and jump over them and avoid the explosion. And those guys drop explosions from above. But here you can see that guy, you know, he was far enough away that I had to, just where he was positioned, I had to wait for him. And I need to wait for this guy. Okay, so sometimes the game just does not accept inputs. So again, everything in this game is based on animations and animation limits. So to jump, you need to be holding a direction. However, if I don't do the timing exactly right, I will start a running animation, and I cannot cancel the running animation until quite a ways through it. So instead of jumping, I'll just run in place for like a half second and die because the explosion happens. Which happened to me a few times there. And that guy is annoying. Yeah, so this isn't going so hot, this run so far, but, you know, it's basically this game. Those animation hiccups are something else. Oh my goodness. And I got short jumped. There we go. I got the correct jump distance. Okay, so I'm just going to die because I missed that jump. I got short jumped. And going back takes a long time. So yeah, it's weird. It's an interesting game. The big thing I haven't mentioned yet is how the dialogue is in this game. Oh my goodness, I jumped on your head. The dialogue in this game is actually lifted straight from a bunch of anime. If you haven't noticed the fact that I Naruto run everywhere, you probably could tell. The guy that wrote this game was quite an anime fan, and instead of, coming up with unique dialogue, he just lifted dialogue straight from a bunch of anime he liked, and I am not kidding about that. I mean, word for word. So, so basically, I can't remember the name of the one anime he said he based this mostly on. But, because of that, the other two characters you find me talking to all the time are incredibly sarcastic and just a real pain to talk to. Like, it's never a fun time to go through a cutscene with them. So, okay, I could have jumped. Oh, there we go. Oh, I almost made that. There we go. And they're semi-god, demigods in another anime. So basically their entire dialogue is constantly, "We hate you and your life is not worth very much, main character." And that's basically all the dialogue in the game. And it goes on, and I don't know if you guys have noticed how much text I'm mashing through in each cutscene, but if you can imagine just mashing through or playing this normally, see minutes and minutes and minutes and literally hours of text of "I hate you, main character, and your life is meaningless and you shall die one day," you can see why it becomes a chore maybe to play this casually, beyond just all the control issues. And I got short jumped. And you get out of here. So again, it got quite interesting comment. Oh, and I died on those spikes because I am going great this morning. It's like 5 in the morning right now. My hands aren't warmed up yet, and as I said, the running animation just had to play through. And that time, the running and jumping animation played the wrong direction. It's a Steam game. That's all I'll say. So yeah, you just saw how much text I mashed through? So if you could imagine that much text all the time just telling you that you're a terrible person and if you die the world's not going to matter, you can see why a bunch of people were kind of annoyed with the game on the original Steam reviews. But, instead we added a bunch of porn and it somehow works better. So, gameplay-wise at the moment, we are supposedly back in high school. Our two friends are... Yeah, now it has positive reviews. After the porn was added, it got positive reviews. Before the porn was added, which is the version of the game that I bought, you have to go far back in the negative reviews because, the original version only had, 5 reviews. Because, it did not sell very well at all. Barely made that cycle. Oh, why'd you shoot on the wrong cycle? Got the key. Thank you. And basically, our friends that are constantly telling us, oh, your life is weird and your life is meaningless, but you're really good at parkour, are interdimensional time beings. And they just made us time travel back to high school. So, you know, we're back in high school now. Why they sent us back to high school, I genuinely do not remember. But, you know, we're in high school again. And our high school is overrun by the same enemies as before anyway. And now I need to talk to the one girl. I remember that she's like, we need to take over the computer club. And we're like, why? I don't know. We just need the support of the computer club to do some sort of experiment. Impress the people in the computer club. And we're like, I don't know anything about computers. And you're like, that's fine. Just impress them with your parkour skills and they'll let you in the computer club. It's great logic. It's very good logic. Oh, I went too far. I got short jumped there. Yeah, it was very minimal. The only reason I knew about the game is because I actually ran another game that this guy designed, which is also very bad, but a little bit more famous on Steam and has more sales. That is the game Shin Samurai Jazz. And I figured, hey, he's designing a new game. If it's got similar mechanics to Shin Samurai Jazz, I want to at least see how it is as a speedrun. This game did not sell near as well as Shin Samurai Jazz because it did not wind up in near as many sales for like 50 cents on Steam as Shin Samurai Jazz did. And that's what he decided. Well, the clear issue was the porn. That's what's going to make this sell better, not any of the control issues. And wow, we're talking to them and they're like, wow, you got into the computer club. Like, yeah, it is. It's a ton of reused assets. All the music you're hearing at the moment is from Shin Samurai Jazz. All the music. It is Shin Samurai Jazz music. Oh. Man alive. I got short jumped. Now I have to go back all the way to this screen just because I got short jumped. My time is going to be terrible. Oh no. The enemy got permanently aggroed. So what that means is that it's impossible to not die. You just have to die if the enemy gets aggroed. And I got long jumped there, so it was like, oh, you weren't actually jumping towards the end of that rail. You were jumping at the ground. Because, again, this game's designed so that it just assigns a tile randomly to you on where you're going to land. So I'm just going to take this as slow as possible there. Yeah, it is incredibly jank. But you know what? We are getting through the game, and as long as I start doing better at the end game, then it'll be alright. So we're in chapter 7 out of 11. So what's time at, by the way, currently?
We are currently at just shy of 24 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm doing fine.
Do you have time for a quick donation? I just noticed one that didn't get read earlier.
Sure thing.
So during the Time Splitters 2 run, we had a $20 donation from Mr. Jerky Jerky. In reference to the grunting noises during Space Station, he just says, uh, 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 uh.
Let's see. Trey Lena, what drove me to speedrun this game? The fact that I already speedrun Shin Samurai Jazz. And this game has so many reused assets, I figured I might as well try it. And oddly enough, this game is a better speedrun than Shin Samurai Jazz. So, yeah. Okay, I'm mistiming this. I need to... And I actually got a running jump. Just do this. Believe it or not, if we're going for which version is the best to speedrun, the porn version is actually significantly faster. Because the cutscenes are much shorter. If you haven't noticed how much text we're mashing through... in the porn version, there's not near as much text. There's just porn. So you just mash through it real quickly. Porn version is significantly faster. Obviously, that version is not streamable. I have to wait for this guy. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's the porn version is faster. Gameplay-wise, there are no differences. There are no differences in gameplay. There are no differences in mechanics. There are no differences in the rooms. A bunch of the rooms were recolored, and I got short jumped. So, but those are the only differences. It's just the cutscenes instead of a bunch of text. It's a bunch of text over lewd imagery in the background, and and yeah, you know. I needed. Yeah, what I would love is just if the game actually had a specified jump distance and where you could cancel your run animation instead of having to play through an entire run animation before jumping. Which again, considering the fact you have to, do so far of a run animation before you can jump, that also makes making your jump distances very difficult. Beyond just the game snapping you to certain tiles upon landing. This game's jumping controls are jank. Once you get used to it and you can see in your mind's eye how the jumping works, it becomes controllable. But until that point, it is... And I got short jumped there. It becomes very, very difficult because the game just kind of said there, you did not jump over the spikes, you jumped onto the spikes. Yeah, if it's a good game that's similar to this, go for it. Just don't add a bunch of porn, please. I want to be able to stream it easily on Twitch. Because, genuinely, I love a lot of the stylistic choices in this game. I love the 2D parkour aspects. If it just controlled better, it would be really fun. And I love the screen transitions, which I'm sure was to make it easier instead of, showing an entire screen at once. Please don't attack. Okay. Yeah. If that guy decides to attack at the edge, you're just kind of a sitting duck, and it's super annoying because, there's not very much you can do just staying down there. Like, I love... Now, transition screen is pretty stupid, as everybody in chat can notice, but how the screen snaps in and out and the playing area constantly changes, I think that is a very cool stylistic choice. I really do think that is a very cool stylistic choice. Well, it turns out it wasn't the principal to begin with. It was actually one of the interdimensional time beings cosplaying as the principal. There are 11 chapters in this game. Aw, crud. I was trying to jump on top of that platform, and the game was like, you jumped over the platform, didn't you? Yeah, it's an interesting game. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, you do get your money's worth. It is a long game. You do get your money's worth. So, if we are going on the second place time in this game, it would be. There are 3 speedrunners of this game. I have a PB of sub 51. Second place, because of all this jank, has way more deaths than I do, and has a 57-minute PB, and that is done on the porn version. That is quicker than this version. And third place is also done on the porn version, and third place in this game has a 1 hour and 10-minute PB. So if I was the second place runner, I could potentially... I'll go try this trick once. Nope. Okay, so... Here, I'll try it again. Never mind. So, you can get the game to confuse where it's supposed to snap you to and snap you to the bottom of the screen there. Instead of going the long way around. Now we can actually get into the elevator because I talked to them. No, they just uploaded them to YouTube, and it has never been taken down, and, yeah, that they just put those times on speedrun.com. Yeah. Yeah, well, I haven't uploaded my time to speedrun.com because they will not accept my time. But my PB is... It's somewhere on my channel. I think it's a 5024. I don't know, they just haven't done it. That's probably it. That might be it. Get through the door, thank you. So these guys are very annoying. Yeah, it's probably just more mod inactivity. I don't really use speedrun.com anyway to track most of my speed times because I'm a bit too old school of a speedrunner. So, yeah. He's been online on Twitch, and I've sent him messages on Twitch and stuff, but, you know, whatever. I don't care. I really don't care if my time's not on speedrun.com, because, again, I'm a little bit too old school of a speedrunner, so I've been speedrunning since way before speedrun.com was a thing, and, you know, since speedrun.com wasn't a thing whenever I began speedrunning, I've never really adopted to it that much. There we go. Yeah, because I've been speedrunning since like 2013. That classifies me as a veteran speedrunner, right? Oh, I just got an animation glitch. So if you didn't notice, sometimes when walking off the edges of walls, the game just is like, I don't know what to do, and you just slowly slide down. And there actually would be used to a speedrun of that if I could get it to work all the time. But I can't always get it to trigger. But basically, you take no damage during that, where you just kind of nonchalantly slide down stuff, slide in midair. You do not take damage. So, like in a speedrun, I could certainly route that into some places, but I can't always trigger the glitch. It just happens randomly, and it happened randomly there. There is also an infinite jump glitch in this game, but it has no use in a speedrun because, again, during your infinite jump, you become intangible and are unable to do anything besides move straight up and straight down, and cannot grab onto any ledges. If you could grab onto ledges, that would be a handy glitch to use, because I could just jump straight up to anything instead of actually do all the platforming. However, it is super annoying to trigger. I figured out how it's done. It is done by hitting attack, jump, and starting a run animation all on the same frame. If you do that, all of a sudden you will just start flying in the air. Why that happens, I don't know. I'm not a game designer. I just know that's what triggers it. Okay, I'm not going to make that cycle. Okay, there we go. I can just run under that guy. Oh, nearly bounced off of him. And you actually triggered. Thank you. I was standing too close. Just, do this the old-fashioned way. Yeah. I'm just going to guess it's somewhat based in how the animations work and not being able to cancel animations, and the game being unsure of what you're supposed to do. That's what I'm going to guess. Because as I mentioned, whenever you do an animation, you cannot cancel it. It plays through all the way. Oh, and I got high jumped there. Thank you, game. So that's if I were to guess on anything, that would probably be it. Is the game going, hey, you need to, complete this animation. Wait, you're trying to start 3 animations at once. What am I supposed to do? And you just go flying. Let's see if I can get this skip. Yes, I got that skip. That skip is way more difficult than it looks. It is messing with the AI of the game, trying to lock you to a panel that you're supposed to land on, and instead of doing all the platforming, you can just convince the game to lock you to the lower panel where you need to land instead of, going around all the enemies. It only saves time if you do it first try, so we got it first try. Oh, whatever. And there we go. That is the end of Chapter 9. Yeah, so now we're to Chapter 10. Chapter 10 is very short, and then Chapter 11 is fairly long if I have any deaths, basically. But the storyline now is that those 2 interdimensional time beings are like, hey, there's a really evil company that's resurrecting people from the dead for no particular reason. It somehow makes them money, and we're like, okay, why is that our problem? And they're like, well, you need to stop it. You've got parkour skills. And you're like, why are you guys pestering me? Just go save the world, will you? Okay, fine. How do I get into the company? Oh, you need the company's front door is locked by a magical curse, and here you need to get a special coin and a talisman to break the curse on the front door. So that's what Chapter 10's about. That Chapter 11's actually running through the company headquarters that are overrun by zombies. So we got the necessary items to make the talisman. And we're going to go make the talisman. After this, we'll go get the coin. I really don't know. I really don't know what this game's storyline is, and it's basically just the interdimensional time beings are continually messing with us and making us do all the work instead of them, doing any work, even though they can teleport anywhere. And, go forward in time or go backward in time. Instead, they're like, hey, you, parkour girl, you do it for us. So here we go. We've got the materials to make the talisman. We bring it back to the one interdimensional time being and her friend. They made a talisman for us out of the materials. And now we need to go get the special coin. So that building was supposedly the one girl's apartment. And she's like, oh, I put a bunch of spikes in there in case robbers come in. Be careful. And then the 2 girls are like, hey, so we need a special coin that's on the top floor of your hotel. The hotel worker's like, well, yeah, it's on the top floor. So, like, the elevator's broken, so, like, you could go parkouring through the warehouse part of the building to get up to the top floor, but, you can't take the elevator. So we're technically at the warehouse of the hotel at the moment to get the coin. And again, we are with interdimensional time beings that can teleport. And, they're making us run through to get the coin. Instead of just, teleporting themselves up to the top of the building and grabbing the coin. The porn version of this game is basically, instead of you trying to save the world, it's the interdimensional time beings being like, "Ooh, are you strong enough to get freaky with us? Ooh, yeah. Wow, you're so good at parkour that we want to get freaky with you." And yeah, that is the storyline of the porn version. Yes. Oh, crud. I need to run all the way around. There we go. So now we have the necessary materials to go to Chapter 11. Final chapter of the game. We've broken the magic seal. We're inside Company HQ. Okay, fine. So I was waiting for that guy to do an animation so that, I could attack him, but he was just standing there in perfect range for where I would have to land. And as soon as I jumped in an attack. Yeah, they're also zombie samurais. They're the reanimated undead. Actually, I think the guy calls them yokai. I think they are supposedly yokai samurai. But they're also reanimated dead people at the same time, so I don't know how that works. I'm not an expert on Japanese anime, okay? Like, I've seen some anime, but I have no idea of the specifics of yokai stuff. Yeah, so as you noticed there, I punched him and nothing happened. No, there is no final boss. There is no final boss, thankfully. Okay. Going to have to go all the way back down just because he was permanently aggroed. Okay. Yeah, those samurai can be super annoying depending on where they decide to stop. These enemies supposedly kill us on sight, but we can just kind of do that to get around them. Fire wheel, cannon. And walk out the door. Another samurai. You gotta be kidding me. Punch you into the spikes and set the switch and get out the door. So near the end of the run, I'm going to ask time to see if we have enough time to just go through the final dialogue sequence, because it is something else. Okay. Because time technically doesn't stop at the final dialogue sequence. The dialogue, I'll just do one dialogue sequence to get you guys an idea. It'll probably take a minute. But I'll only do a single one. Yes, walk away. Ah! Hey. We're almost at the end. Yeah, there we go. The jump kick instantly kills that guy instead of having to punch him 3 times to get to part 3 of our punching animation. And, oh, I got snapped into a lower position. Hey! Whoa, so I jumped in place because the game said you weren't holding any direction, so I'm doing the jumping in place animation. Okay. Okay, this guy's being a pain. Okay. So I need to wait for this guy to start going across, and then I can jump before he shoots. And don't you dare. Yeah. So you can tell, like, anytime I jump kick into anything, it just dies instead of running through it. Oh, I don't want to stand there. I'll get shot. Okay, there you go. Need to wait for you. Jump. There we go. I need to wait for you so you don't shoot me. Oh, I'm going to get shot. Okay. I got short jumped. You don't know what's the last room until I just tell you it's the last room. There is no visual indicator with how close you are to the end of the game. You just kind of reach the end. But we're almost there. Say, what's time at, by the way?
Let's have a look. It is at 50:47.
Okay. Alright, yeah. We're almost there. This is like the second to last room right here. And you actually need to start running with that guy. Before, come on, thank you. Before he starts moving. Yeah. And it's super annoying. Okay, this is the last room of the game, challenge-wise, and I just did it wrong, so I need to reset and die. Hey, you got triggered. I was far enough away. Now I just need to wait for this cycle. Yeah, it looks super generic. Actually, no, this isn't the last room, but it's one of the last rooms. But, like, no, this is the last room. Here we go. So, I'll let you read the final dialogue. You stopped me from taking control of those supernatural beings. I stopped a corporation from doing something mess up. What else do you want to do now? May I suggest going home? Do you know how to get there? I absolutely cannot answer that right now. She's just joking. We'll take care of it. You don't want to play with us anymore, Mika-chan. Because there isn't any reason not to want to, right, Ayumi-ni? But isn't it weird that Mika-chan isn't the slightly bit curious about any of this? You definitely don't go through the extra trouble explaining anything to me. You definitely don't have to worry about that. I just want to talk about myself while somebody intently listens anyways. She actually isn't leaving you with a choice. We're both goddesses. Or demons. Probably demons. I was going to say that. Both Animi and I are able to supernaturally manipulate stuff in the flow of things, for lack of a better way of describing it. But Ayumi-ni has the ability to undo anything I do, and I can't do anything about it. Yet Miyabi-chan stealing my moment to talk about myself while trying to act like a helpless victim. You may continue from where I left off if you'd like to. I gladly will, thank you. I actually made Miyabi-chan to say that we can even go back in time, alter history, manipulate all physical matter to the point of creating both preventing life and death and all kinds of things. For example, I simply became a popular student in your high school by altering everyone's memories and all of the legal stuff. Miyabi-chan and I have been around for a few centuries now, so of course I felt doing that just for fun. We didn't create the universe or anything like that, though. We just exist as goddesses with weird ways of entertaining ourselves. We're definitely demons. We don't know that for sure. I asked what you wanted with me. She likes to choose random people she feels like hanging out with, create weird scenarios until it's fun with the victim that gets bored. Yet you get how crummy the dialogue is at this point, okay? That is the entire dialogue of the game. Every cutscene is like that. Time. That is time. And that was Hinedere Beat.
Nice. I think if you'd have skipped that dialogue, you would have gone underestimate. But you were 14 seconds over. But it was worth it, because that was some god tier voice acting, as always.
Well, thank you, everyone. And yeah, donate to Direct Relief. It's an important cause. And that was Hinedere Beat. It's a weird game.